I'm telling you, it's
running
math, okay?
You're gonna argue with the math here?
All right? The depth at the position is so
the quarterback scored the most amount of points,
then they are the most important position.
I'm telling you,
is hands down,
top tier
that is the way it goes.
And if you don't have,
if you have strong
top tier running backs,
you're gonna lose.
Do well.
Right? You're gonna fail in fantasy football.
Running backs,
that's all I'm
they get
telling you.
hurt.
Okay,
right?
Running backs,
you're not
going to
convince me.
You're
You're
not
not
going to
sit
sit
here
all
and
the
convince
time
me
that a quarterback is more important
than having
pick one up off the
running
waiver.
backs.
And then guess what?
That's not
He
gonna
gets
happen.
hurt. And
It's
you
just
just pick
false.
another one
You're a
off the
liar
waiver.
for it.
Some
You
guy
are a
that
liar
no one's
for
ever
it.
heard of.
No.
All right?
No,
Running
no,
behind
no.
a line that's already beat up.
You're wrong, okay?
Okay? And then you're banking on this cat to go ahead and get you 14 points.
Just listen
when
to this guy.
That's
Right?
a shot in the dark.
Listen to this
and,
babble.
Like fuck chance of
Bull.
happening. Right?
Bullshit.
Quarterbacks is where it's
Right?
at.
This
You have a
is absolute
solid
bullshit.
quarterback.
You
a
know it.
solid quarterback.
You know it.
To
You knew.
put up a consistent
You know
number
you need
each week,
two running
and you're
backs.
going to do well
At
in this
least
league.
two.
That's what I'm telling you. You're
At
going to
least
do
two
well in this league.
top
solid
20 running backs.
Okay?
To even contend, all right?
And
that's
you're not going to
it's-
convince me
it's-
that a
it's
running back is
common
is,
knowledge.
is better, okay?
I mean, how are you going to sit there and tell me that a
what's wrong?
quarterback is more important than having a running back? A solid running back, a solid running game. No, you're wrong.
Yeah,
You're wrong.
All right.
A quarterback
Just
is
shut up
as
and let me
important
talk,
as having
okay?
a
All right.
defense.
It's running
or
back.
a goddamn
All right.
kicker. all
Running
right?
backs are
For fuck's
garbage,
sake,
okay?
you're wrong.
They're garbage.
Listen to me.
Hot.
You need
Excuse me,
two
pals.
top-tier running
Shit,
backs.
garbage.
Telling you
Quarterbacks is where it's at.
top-tier running backs.
And as
That's
long
what
as you
you
have
need,
good
folks,
quarterbacks,
all
that's what I'm telling you.
Don't
Don't
listen
listen
to
to this
top
mother
five
Don't listen to this
quarterbacks.
guy. You are a
He doesn't know what he's
contender.
talking about.
You are a
all right?
contender in
I
this
know what
league.
I'm talking
That is
about.
what I'm
I've
telling
been
you.
there. I've
Okay?
been there. Yes, I have.
And
I had
you're not gonna
three
convince me
top-tier
otherwise.
running backs
And
when I
I
did
am
it.
right.
But you
I
only
am
need
right.
two top-tier running backs.
I am
I'm telling you,
always
just
right.
two top-tier running backs,
I
and you
have
can
never
do it.
been
I'm
wrong
telling you,
about
don't listen
anything in
to
my
this
life.
guy. Never know what he's
Never,
talking
not
about.
once have I been
Quarterback,
wrong
he's
about
fucking
anything in my life.
quarterback. You can
It is
go to
quarterbacks,
Marcus
and
Mariota
that's
if you
what
want,
I'm
all right? It doesn't really
Okay.
matter, all right?
Pre-recorded from Fremont,
It's the Weekly Giggity!
Hello, everyone. I'm feeling frisky, and welcome to the Weekly Giggity. Well, Week 3 looked to be one of the more lopsided weeks in gala history. With so many players going on Monday night, and seemingly nobody standing a chance. Yeah, it was pretty weird, but we'll get into that later. Right now, let's get into some news and notes.
News and notes!
I'm going to try and get through the news and notes a little bit faster, so try to keep up with me, alright? The Titans and Steelers game has been postponed due to multiple positive COVID tests, and will most likely be played on either Monday or Tuesday night. Tony could be without his Chris's for a couple of weeks, as Godwin is sidelined with a pulled hamstring and Carson with a knee sprain. Kevin adds 2 more to his graveyard with Russell Gage and Deontay Johnson in concussion protocol. Sam is down to just 1 Philly tight end, with Goddard being placed on the IR with a small ankle fracture. Rookie wide receivers Henry Ruggs is considered doubtful this week with a hamstring and knee injury, and Michael Pittman Jr. had surgery on his fucked up calf and will likely be out until Week 8. Not practicing this week are DeAndre Hopkins, Jared Cook, A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, Mike Williams, Leonard Fournette, Raheem Mostert, John Brown, Cam Akers, and Jamison Crowder. Returning to practice this week so far has been DJ Chark, Julio Jones, Zach Moss, Phillip Lindsay, Michael Thomas, George Kittle, and Deebo Samuel. Other notable injuries include Jamal Adams, Mike Iupati, Deshaun Jackson, Jordan Reed, Jabril Peppers, Chase Young, Taylor Lewan, Denzel Ward, Brian Edwards, Tariq Cohen, McKee Becton, Chris Harris Jr., Brian Balaga, Andrews Pete, and Christian Kirksey. The waiver bids were pretty modest compared to the last couple weeks due to just about everyone being fucking broke, so... Gomez led the charge once again, throwing out $5 to get Carlos Hyde. Tony splurges and gets himself Alan Lazard for $2, and Corey finds another big tight end that he's probably seen topless in Mo Alley Cox for another $2. Broncos D and Jeff Wilson go to Areola, Jason grabs TJ Hawkinson, and Ferralis gets Mason Crosby. Nor picks up Cardinals defense and Rodrigo Blankenship, not to be confused with Kenny Blankenship from MXC. Well, that does it for our news and notes. Let's get into the weekly recap! This week was full of routings and ass whoopings. The closest match was decided by 12 points. which happened to be our shootout of the week, and match 1, Corey versus Ferralis. Corey's consistency continually cuts the cord on contenders could be colossal wins. Johnny Smith was the only roster spot that failed to put up double-digit points, which made it real tough for Ferralis to catch up. Even having Russell Wilson put up a season high of 36 wasn't enough for Ferralis to surpass a high-flying Corey. Ferralis falls 141 to 113. The Ravens' offense looked like shit on Monday night, and falling behind early had them abandoning the run. Mark Ingram only got 7 touches for 30 yards in a game where Mike needed a small miracle. Dalvin Cook seems to be about the only bright spot up there in Minnesota. He ran the ball 22 times for 181 yards and a touch. Even with a fumble lost, he still put up a strong 23. Just so y'all know, Corey's running backs are the 2, 3, and 4 in the league. Match 2, Kevin versus Tony. Kevin should probably change his name to the Beer Bitch Medical Center for Guys Who Can't Stay Healthy Good, because his roster is making a habit of exiting games early. Russell Gage and Deontay Johnson both got fucked up on Sunday and only supplied Kevin with 2 points. A couple of big scores on Tony's lineup was enough to pass 80, and thus pass Kevin. Tony gets his first win 78 to 99. We all know the Jets suck, but goddamn, that Colts D just demolished. 2 pick sixes and only 7 points allowed gave Kevin a whopping 29-point advantage on the defensive side. Alvin Kamara was about as slithery and slippery as his owner on Sunday night against the Packers. He rushed the ball only 6 times, but was a force in the screen game, getting 13 catches for 139 yards and 2 touchdowns, totaling 30 points. Match 3, Slater versus Noor. This matchup was all ground game as both teams' wide receivers and tight ends struggled to score. Slater was solid at quarterback with Drew Brees putting up an impressive 22 and his special teams combining for 23 points. Though it wasn't enough for Noor's lopsided lineup of Allen, Connor, and Henderson doing all the grunt work, Noor survives this week, topping Slater 84 to 96. My shocker are all the wide receivers in this matchup. OBJ, Marvin Jones, Julian Edelman, and Golden Tate all combined for only 15 points. Both squads had some regrets left on the bench in this slot. Darrell Henderson beasted against a tough Bills D with 114 yards and 20 carries and a touchdown, scoring 17 points alongside another impressive Connor outing made up for the lack of production from Noor's bearded boyfriend, Leonard Fournette. Match 4, Ariola versus Sam. Week 3's biggest blowout belongs to Mike and his Robinsons. Sam's struggles at running back continue to haunt him as his best production came from the 49ers defense. Mahomes went grilled ham and cheese, put up a whopping 39, capping off another impressive week. Mike moves to 3-0 in an impressive fashion, 127 to 81. Joe Mixon still hasn't reached double-digit points against some favorable matchups. Sam has to be wondering what he needs to do about his running back room. 17 rushes for 49 yards against a shitty-looking Philly won't cut it here in the big leagues. I'm going to go with both Robinsons on the winning roster. James got a starter for Mike on Thursday night, putting up 24 against the Dolphins, and Allen finally got in the end zone once Nagy finally put Nick Foles in the game. Robinson caught 4 passes for 54 yards and a touchdown once Foles came in early in the third. Match 5, Gomez versus Jason. Tom Brady outscores Lamar Jackson. Tyler Lockett outscores DeAndre Hopkins. Seems like the perfect recipe for G-Money, am I right? Unfortunately, that's about all that went right for the undefeated Gomez. Jason's running backs finally showed up, and the Bucs D looked like a force. A few low scores couldn't keep Jason down, as he gets his first win and Gomez his first loss, 86 to 106. Darren Waller's been a baller early in the season, but it seems like Belichick had a plan for the Raiders, and Gomez's 2 weapons. Josh Jacobs had 83 total yards and a fumble loss, but Waller was held to only 2 catches on 9 yards, giving him that fat fucking 0.
Showstopper.
Derrick Henry finally got in the end zone and looked like the Henry of old against an embarrassing shit show of a Vikings team. Henry was fed 26 times for 2 touchdowns and even got a couple of receptions. His 24 points helped Bobo to get his first win. Well, that was embarrassing for half of you. This week should be a little more exciting, as the games could really fuck up the standings now. Let's get into the upcoming matchups. Up and coming.
Matchups.
Match 1, the undefeateds, Areola versus Corey. Ooh, baby, this should be a slugfest. Both squads have been awesome so far, but slim to fuck chance there's a tie, right? Mahomes is going up against a stout Patriots defense, though still projected 24 points. While on the other side, Kyler Murray is only projected 18 going against a suspect Panthers team. Corey's position players also have juicy matchups up and down. Projections show Corey on top 101 to 113. I feel like Corey will put up 140 again. Besides Jonnu, his roster has got some sexy looking games. Jonathan Taylor will have to shred up tough Bears defense, and then Mike can easily be in the mix. I'm going to go with Corey here. Match 2, Tony versus Slater. Two guys right in the middle of the standings and two guys who have been struggling with their wide receivers. Injuries have hurt both teams' number 1 wide receivers in Godwin and Julio, and it's an uphill battle for Tony here, with Carson and Godwin likely out for the week. Tony will have to rely on his high-scoring bench to step up. The Gala predicts this to be another shootout, 113 to 104, in the favor of Tony. Both squads have sexy matchups this week and can blow up. Aside from CEH and Kelsey against the Pats, these guys are all looking prime. I think Deshaun is tired of losing and will rush the ball a lot more this week, and I can see Julio getting in the end zone. I'm going to pick Slater in this one. Match 3, Ferralis versus Kevin. Who's it going to be? Who's Kevin going to take down to his level? If he could pick the wide receivers and his running backs have a decent week, he could break 100. Maybe a ballsy start from Joe Burrow will have the gods smiling down on him. Ferralis, having lost 2 in a row, wants no part of this shit. Projections show Mike on top 103 to 92. Kevin is running up a mudslide right now and it doesn't look good. His wide receivers have literally been the only bright spot on this roster. Mike has Russ cooking with gas, and Justin Herbert is feeding Eke and Keenan Allen. So he must be feeling confident about this week. But I'm going to say fuck it. And I'm going to take Kevin in the upset over Ferralis. Match 4, Jason versus Noor. Injuries all over and a non-impressive Lamar Jackson is worrisome for Bobo. While on the other side, Noor has 2 high-flying quarterbacks to choose from and could be getting his top wide receiver in Devontae Adams back this week. Both teams have been beat to shit, and this is a very close matchup up and down the lineups. Let's not forget now that both of these teams' top running backs are not playing on Sunday and have not yet rescheduled. Could be pretty crazy if Henry and Connor don't go at all this week, but that's very doubtful. Gallup projects this one to be close at 101 to 105 in Noor's favor. Lamar Jackson doesn't seem like the advantage, while Noor has his choice of juicy quarterbacks. Both squads banged up here could mean completely different lineups come Sunday. I like Noor's quarterback situation with whoever he goes with, and his chances with Devontae. But I think Jason's running backs will come through again, and he'll walk away with a W. Match 5, Sam versus Gomez. Oh God, the fucking running backs in this matchup. Ugh. It's pathetic. Gomez paid $48 for only 11 points so far in the last 2 weeks in those waiver wires. And Sam's running backs couldn't find a hole in a San Francisco bathroom. The only good back so far in Jacobs has a tough week ahead going up against the Bills Mafia, who just allowed their first double-digit running back last week in Henderson. I wouldn't be surprised if this match is decided by a couple of 25-point players with single digits on the rest of the board. Sam is projected to walk away on top 100-95. Sam's wide receivers have been solid, and I can see the Niners D really coming through for him. Another huge Lockett outing is very possible here, and with Melvin going early against a very shitty Jets team, the early lead could be huge. I'm going to be taking Gomez in this crapshoot. Well, that does it for the upcoming matchups. So you know what time it is, everybody. It's the Power Rankings!
It's the weekly Power Rankings!
Power Rankings. Let's get into them. Number 10, no surprise, Kevin Wallen. 3 straight weeks, 3 straight losses, 3 straight lowest scores of the week. With all-time highs in scoring across the NFL and the Gridiron Gala, this owner seems to be on the outside looking in. Kevin may need adult supervision going forward as back-to-back whispers grow louder. Number 9, Sam Nix. A perfect lineup wouldn't have mattered for the hashtag MCDA leader, as there was nothing he could do to play against that underdog in Mahomes in primetime. The running backs continue to bring his roster down to the bottom of the ranks. Sam may want to spend a little more time leading his team and a little less time leading his movement. Literally says here, just a suggestion, no bias. Remember I told you who wrote these power rankings? Yeah. Number 8, Alex Gomez. After an impressive 2-0 start, the lack of depth on his roster finally reared its ugly head. Forced into starting 2 tight ends, Gomez only managed to muster a single double-digit outing from a non-quarterback position, both starting or bench. Weeks like this will continue while relying solely on Jacobs, Lockett, and Waller for most of his production. Number 7, Jason Mercies. 106 points was good enough to finally put this owner in the win column for the year, while Henry showed up big this week and to push Jason over the triple-digit hump for the first time. The lack of production from reigning MVP is getting concerning. With no Saquon Barkley and Corona running rampant through the Petri Dish Titans, these good vibes may be short-lived. Number 6, Noor Sandu. Josh Allen, James Conner, Darrell Henderson. 3 names most owners would have glanced over pre-draft are now becoming an intimidating force. What was once thought to be a weak roster is now proving the haters wrong. This will be a pivotal week for Noor that will determine if he is a grower or a shower. Number 5, Alex Slater. This talented roster has proven to be a lineup nightmare. Leaving week-winning players on the bench must be keeping Slater up at night. Consistency and predictability may end up being the kryptonite for this owner. Number 4, Tony Funston. Sometimes getting a layup of an opponent is the best cure for getting over a humiliating defeat. A solid 99-point outing behind a shifty Kamara allowed this owner to heal his wounds with a win. But playing Kevin will not be able to save Tony from poor decisions at kicker and defense going forward. Adjustments will need to be made. Number 3, Michael Ferralis. 3 straight weeks of triple-digit performances would normally net any team 3 straight wins. Unfortunately for this owner, the schedule gods have decided otherwise by starting the season with tough matchups against the number 1 and 2 rosters in the league. Strong performances across the board could see this record turning around quickly. Number 2, Michael Areola. No CMC, no problem. This savvy owner worked his way through his first Christianless week with a big performance from James Robinson, a pickup nominee of the year. A giant 127-point effort to crush Sam as another marked in the win column, setting up an early season must-watch in this coming week. with number 1, Corey Hart. Another week, another monstrous outing from this juggernaut. Averaging an unsustainable 140 points a week, the floor is still unknown with this roster. The seemingly endless depth of this roster will be put to the test in what should be a fun shootout with Mike. All eyes will be waiting to see where the chink in the armor really is. Well, that does it for this edition of the Weekly Giggity. Hope you all had fun. I'm a little warm and dizzy in here. And I'll see you all next week.